Thomas Sniffus, here having a chance to become the new world champion. But enough with the talk. Let's go into game 1.
Absolutely, and we see a very interesting deck in the game 1, the Resonators. We've talked about this deck yesterday, and we've seen it manage to do very well into the Shaddoll matchup especially. And yeah, this is very important because we've seen the fusion decks do pretty well, but not as well as we expected them to do. And on the other end, we've seen the Synchro decks do very well. Of course, we see here the Resonators, but we also have some other decks which are Synchro decks. For example, the Speedroid strategy that Kama3 has brought to the tournament.
However, to be honest, right now we have Resonator against Sky Striker again as our 4th round yesterday, right? And I'm really excited to see if we are going to experience exactly the same thing that happened yesterday, meaning that in Sky Striker Anchor is one of the best cards of the deck, right? Stealing the opponent monster in order to attack for game, since Resonators can obviously summon powerful synchro monsters like Dragon Archfiends from all over the place. However, they have very big attack, and if your opponent steals with an Anchor, he can not activate the effect. However, he can attack for game, which is very important. And obviously, Sarkano being also there, gaining the resources back from Sniffus.
Absolutely, and if you remember correctly, yesterday it was exactly the same situation. I mean, look at the field of Resonator. It is really impressive. It is very scary for a lot of decks, but on the side of the Sky Striker strategy, you have so many tools to just get rid of it. Of course, you are going to do a lot of plus with the engage, of course, that you just mentioned, and you have the ability to just get rid of all the threats from the opponent. You have the Widow Anchor that you mentioned, but you also have some ways to deal with the back row, with the spell and trap cards, and you know that there are going to be some when the Resonators just go through uninterrupted.
And what I really like about this type of matchup especially is Kama3 is playing Sky Striker at 20 cards, which really makes you understand how he's confident with the deck. And as we mentioned, Widow Anchor is super important, especially because you really want to have 3 spells in the graveyard as fast as possible. Not only to basically get a +1 from your Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, but also from your Sky Striker Mobilize Widow Anchor. And here, what an impressive turn we have seen from Philips, honestly. Gaining 3,000 life points and having true Synchro Monsters onto the field. This is pretty much somewhat what we witnessed yesterday in our 4th round of Swiss.
However, with a slightly difference, which I think will play a huge role. So, Sniffus summoned Red Resonator and activated the effect to gain life points, which was very important in this matchup, since now Kama3 cannot take only one Synchro Monster and attack for game, since now Sniffus is having 7,000 life points, which
Absolutely.
is very important.
And we see the Sky Striker Ace Ray being summoned on the field, and I must admit that this is one of my favorite monsters, and we are going to see if this card can just take the field apart. We are going to see the Hemp as yesterday, so we are going to have only one monster we have to deal with. So yeah, that's a pretty good start, to be honest, because there is only like the Fiendish Chain, which is set, and I mean, you can get rid of that because you have some tools. I talked about, of course, the spell and trap removals. You have the jamming wave, but also the afterburner. If you have 3 spells in the graveyard, you are able to just remove a spell trap without targeting, which is very, very important because, I mean, usually when it targets, you have the ability to just chain the card and just get something out of it before it gets destroyed. But in this case, you are not able to do that. And now we see the Rose being summoned on the field. That is a great start. So will Kama3 perform another time very well against this deck or not? I mean, this is scary to see.
What a starting hand, to be fair, because basically started things off with Ray plus the Hemp, and then the multi-roll on the Area Zero, triggering the Area Zero, bringing it on the Rose. And you can tell that Philip was not happy about this, because of course, having the multi-roll on the field means that your opponent cannot basically negate your Sky Striker spell
Not even
card.
response.
Exactly.
Which is very important in this matchup, since right now Kama3 summoned the Hump in order to tribute this Archfiend Dragon, which was very important since it was not destroyed, but rather tribute, as we mentioned, and now can activate any spell card that he controls, and Sniffus will not have any response to it.
Absolutely, and we see the same sequence as yesterday. We see the Kaina, and now there is the jamming wave, so he's going to be able to get rid of a spell and trap, and it is going to be the Findy Chain. So he decided not to go for the other spell or trap, and I think that this is pretty good in my opinion because he wants to have his other Sky Striker monsters get their effect resolved.
And we are one spell away from the magical number of Sky Strikers. We have 2 spells into the graveyard, and now it's the Widow Anchor. However, without the ability to steal, however, it is one last card on the field, and we have 3 spells into the graveyard.
Is
Can
it going
this
to be engaged?
The best cards in Gamma 3 deck? Can be the Sky Striker and Ace Engage, and
It is
the
Afterburners.
Afterburners, an amazing card which gives me the opportunity to destroy a monster, and since he has 3 spells into the graveyard to destroy also and spell or trap onto the field.
A very good card anyways, because now if he really feels like he can go for the Ayare, send the Engage if he feels like, or otherwise he can go Kagari, take back the Afterburners, activate and also destroy the other spell and trap cards onto the field. He has so many different options, to be fair. Let's see what he decides to go for.
Kagari.
The Kagari.
It is going to be the Kagari. He's going to get back a spell from the graveyard, and let's see if it's going to be the Afterburner or the Jamming Waves in that case. So he's going to get back the Jamming Waves and be able to just activate it to get rid of the last spell or trap on the side of Sniffus.
And we currently see Kagari taking back resources, and now meaning that we have to respect also the multi-rolls, since yes, now Gamma 3 doesn't have any cards into his hands except the one that was added through Kagari. However, multi-roll will be activated into the end phase to set again resources, and obviously one of the best interruptions into the game, Widow Anchor. And Jamming Wave will be activated again to destroy the Fiend's statue, and now Hump will be also destroyed, and we saw that Sniffus has established a very strong field, and now he doesn't have any cards into the field, which is very, very important for Resonator deck.
Absolutely, and that is what I like about the Sky Striker strategy, showing that it is very strong once again, going second. Literally, the whole field of Sniffus is not there. He's just left with only 1 card in hand, and all the Sky Striker cards are going to make some plus. He's going to set back the Shock Cannon, and he's going to have other interruptions. Here, the Widow Anchor, and to be honest, I don't see how Sniffus can just get back into the game, because it's going to be so hard to do something with all these interruptions.
Incredibly executed for him, honestly. I mean, we mentioned it, he had the Afterburners or the Jamming Waves if he really felt like, and the multi-roll, honestly, you get so much pluses, and here you also have 2 other disruptions in the forms of Widow Anchor and Shark Cannon. How powerful this deck is, honestly.
This is a great way to start, to be honest.
Crimson Gaia is a very good card.
It's a very, very, very good card. So he's going to be able to activate the effect, and yeah, he's going to add one of the best cards of the deck. I mean, what a game. This is only the game 1, and this is already... I mean, I'm speechless.
And I really love the fact that Gamma 3 used one of the oldest tricks in the book from Sky Striker, adding with Engage this Shark Cannon, activating, and then Mulder can trigger into the end phase, since you can choose to activate either Shizuko or Multi-Roll in any sequence you want in order to gain the card that you have added with Shizuko and activate it like Shark Cannon in order to reset into the field, and obviously later to be in the punishment zone.
I mean, I really feel like having such a hand from a Sky Striker point of view, I think it's ideal because you essentially have the Ray in the graveyard, and also you have the multi-roll plus the RA0. I mean, it's completely like super important, and also the hand completely shut it down Philip's strategy. Now he knows that, of course, the Winnie Anchor is onto the field, and he really needs to understand at what point he can afford to have it being forced from his opponent, and of course we see it on action right now.
Absolutely, but yeah, he's trying to do what he can to just stay alive into this game. Sniffus, I mean, we've seen this matchup yesterday, and it's not going very well for him right now. That must be very scary for him to be in the same situation. You know, the mind must be very, very hard for him. So he's going to get rid of the Link Monster, and of course, we will be able to trigger the Sky Striker S-Ray, who is coming back from the graveyard, and will be able to just special summon another monster from the extra deck.
but to be fair, most of the players used to run only one Kaina into their extra deck. So I don't know if that Ray that has been summoned will be able to summon Kaina in order to target the monsters that will not able to attack for the rest of this turn. And I'm really curious to see how this is going to be, since Ray has already activated the effect. Sniffus just keep summoning very big monsters with very high attack, and at this moment, with her Kama 3 only defense is one Star Cannon that obviously can special summon another monsters, but it will be only as a last solution.
Absolutely, absolutely. But for now, we are going to enter into battle phase and we are going to special summon back the Red Nova Dragon onto the field. He's not going to be able to activate any other spell, Sky Striker, but this is not a problem because he has none left. So we are going to keep battling and get rid of the monster. But this is a very back and forth battle that we see. It's still going to be hard, in my opinion, for Sniffus, because the grind game of Sky Striker cards will be absolutely insane, and we are going to see that during the next turn. We are going to get the Engage, and the Engage, we know that this card is absolutely amazing, especially considering the fact that we have the spell cards in the graveyard. So yeah, it's going to be very difficult for him to just survive.
It's going to be difficult, especially because now here essentially was forced to use the Ray and chaining the Shark Cannon so that he could special summon once back the Red Nova Dragon onto the field and use its effect to essentially stop his opponent's attack. Now really needs to find a way to deal with both of his opponent's monster, but of course the extra card being drawn from Engage is very important.
And I mean, Hercules base will be able to recycle very impactful cards into the main deck or extra deck, like Kagari, obviously, the one that you want to have into your extra in order to retake your Engage from the graveyard, and obviously Window Anchor, the target that potentially will be for Engage when we activate it. And now we will probably see again the special summon of Sky Striker Ace Kagari in a World Champion Final, and probably we are going to add again Engage, and again we are going to activate Sky Striker Ace, mobilize Engage in order to take from our deck Window Anchor, and we can now be able to clear our opponent's deck, and we have double Window Anchor, and this is going to be game actually.
It is going to be game actually, yes, the same thing as yesterday. We are going to hit Sniffus with his own monster, so 2 times in a row he is going to get beaten by the Sky Striker strategy. Kamasri, we've talked about that, he's very creative with those decks, and once again he's going to be 1-0 up against his opponent thanks to this Link deck.
And can I say that I truly respect the thing that he summoned Shizuku before entering battle phase, just being sure.
But you just want to make sure that everything goes as planned, you know?
Because
you just want to make sure
anything wrong happens, and we still have one more solution in our
just in case you summon the Shizuku, your opponent's monsters are reduced, and I'm safe to go. Exactly.
Just be sure.
Yes,
you know?
exactly. You don't want any surprises.
Yeah, Kamasri is very focused, as we've seen him yesterday throughout the whole day. And I mean, this guy is very, very impressive. We have both finalists who are very strong and very impressive. But Kamasri, I mean, creative. He's always focused. He doesn't do any mistake. I mean, I've got the feeling that this guy looks unbeatable. And this is a trap where Sniffus will probably not fall. He will just think that he can still beat him because, of course, he has a chance, and he's gonna have to do his best during the second game. So my question for you guys is simple: which deck would you play as Sniffus during the next game if you were him?
To be honest, right now, we could all of us experience that Sky Striker were in the World Champion Final, right? It's not a meta deck. It's not a deck that everyone was talking about before entering the tournament. We were able, all of us, to talk to the players, and none of them talked about us for Sky Strikers, right? It is one of those decks that have going a little bit out of the meta. However, it was in the first game of a World Champion Final, and not only that, but it also took the win, right? So now, if I was Philip, I would probably start thinking about my fusion decks. However, having rewards our feature match in round 4 yesterday, right? I would know that Kama 3 has been prepared for it, has come to this event in order to destroy the fusion decks with cards in his main deck like Magical Deflector, as we saw, right?
Yes.
So I will be very scared thinking that our best decks, like fusion decks, would not able to compete right now.
And I really want to see now the game 2 in action because our players are ready, so let's jump into game 2 right away. I mean, as mentioned, I really feel like it all comes down to choices, and I mean, I was kind of expecting Phillips to bring up this deck, not in game 2 to be fair, because we're going to be seeing Utopia. And what a deck, what a card choices, either for going first or going second. We saw how interactive the deck is and how difficult it is to play against the deck. And also what I really like about Utopia, I had the chance to interview Phillips, and he basically told me, I know the deck in and out, and yesterday we saw him playing with the deck and against the deck. So he really knows it very well. And I mean, both of our duelists know each other's decks, because essentially yesterday in the round of Swiss, they had the chance to see them all. But I'm really curious to see here now how this is going to play out, because every single time Phillips played Utopia, he won.
Absolutely, and I think that the Utopia strategy is very, very good in this meta game. You talked about that because the deck is very good going first with the trap card, which is a counter trap, which is basically a non-negate, and also going second because you have the power of double or nothing to just end the game very, very quickly. But also, it has a card in the extra deck which is very good, and it is of course the Abyss Dweller. It is very easy for the deck to just go to this card, and Abyss Dweller is very good into both Shaddoll and Branded, and a lot of decks are playing with their graveyard right now. So I really appreciate the choice of the Utopia strategy, but on the other hand, there is some weaknesses, of course, and especially the fact that you can just lose your field, your entire field, under something like Droplet or the Book of Eclipse. So, I mean, this is a very interesting choice, and I'm happy to see that Sniffus decided to be creative with this deck.
So, to be honest, we talk about Abyss Dweller, but against Ancient Gear, I think it's not actually the choice that you want to make. Maybe a Tornado Dragon may be better in order to destroy Ancient Gear Town, one of the best cards, right? And to be fair, I can understand Sniffus because I try to, try to think what he was thinking right now, and we can see that he's trying to dodge his fusion decks, right? He doesn't want to bring them into the final because he knows that Gamma 3 is prepared for fusion decks, so he tries to play only with the decks that are not fusion, and we have to understand how Sniffus is thinking right now and his feelings, right? Because we saw him play Resonator, which is a single deck, and now Utopia, which is a Exist deck. And now Abyss Dweller, as you mentioned.
We still see the Abyss Dweller, yeah.
Yes. And I mean, on the other hand, as we mentioned, there's Ancient Gear being brought by Kama 3, and are you surprised? Like, second choice, we just, let's rock it.
I mean, both decks have something unique for me, to be honest. I consider them to be one of those decks that do not really care about the tournaments, really, because obviously both decks want to go first, but also have a very strong going second strategy. For example, obviously Utopia can add Double or Nothing, one of the best quick play spells into the game, and boosting the attack of the Utopia Axis monster. And on the other hand, you have Ancient Gear. It is one of the OG strategies going second, with the ability to end the Mystical Space Typhoon.
What a card! Look at Sniffus' face!
Because he knows that he has number protection and it has been destroyed by Mystical Space Typhoon. And if now Kama 3 has the cards to go through, I mean, we might see
and now the Ancient Gear Fortress. This is a very, very good card, of course. And you mentioned the Tornado Dragon earlier. Maybe this would have been a great card into this matchup because we know that there are some continuous spell or some field spell that are very strong for the Ancient Gear. And this is, to be honest, very scary to be in this situation because the Ancient Gear, as you just said, is very good going second. It can apply a lot of pressure and all of a sudden you just lost the game. And remember, he cannot afford to just lose this game, otherwise he's going to be back against the wall. And we've seen during the last final how hard it is to just play in those conditions because, of course, there is the game, but there is also the mindset, the feeling that you are in, and you have to build up that momentum to just win it all in the end.
I mean, and you can also tell that from Phil's face, you don't really expect Mystical Space Typhoon, but that was really the card that is actually allowing Kama 3 to go into his strategy, because, you know, I mean, the protection was literally there, and with only Mystical Space Typhoon, and, I mean, would you ever expect at the World Championship Final to see Mystical Space Typhoon, right?
And to be honest, I'm feeling like Philip right now. Try to understand how are his thoughts, right? Meaning that in the first game he had Hump. He has to play against one of the counters of his strategy, and now Mystical Space Typhoon hitting the numbers protection, which was set, and it has to be very clear that it was the only set card in Snifus spell and trap zone, which was very important since Mystical Space Typhoon, it was not blind, it had an actual target, and that was one of the best counter traps into the game. And now we can just experience how Asian Gear can actually pop off and play through any field. And to be honest, we have to remember that yes, Snifus has a lot of monsters in attack position with very high attack, 6000 and 4500 attack points. However, there is the clause on Asian Gear monsters that give them the effect to inflict piercing damage to defense position monsters.
And yeah, and does feel good when you have an Abyss Dweller in defense position. The good thing is that, well, he has those monsters in attack position, but he's gotta be very scary right now, very scared of what's gonna be happening in front of him. And we have the access to the Ancient Guild Wyvern and the Tanker, which are two very important cards for the strategy. I mean, it's gonna be hard to survive anyway.
No, I mean, also the Ancient Gear Tanker, I really feel like it's one of the best card of the deck. Incredible, because if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon an Ancient Gear monsters from your deck. And I mean, right now, as we're witnessing, having two monsters onto the field also allows you to go for a Link play summon in the first of Ancient Gear Ballista.
And it is one of those Link monsters that you want to summon as soon as possible. And Gear Town has finally hit the field. And I think that things are starting to look very, very good for Kama 3, to be honest. We can see from the body language, Kama 3 is zoned in, focused, trying to figure out how he can make an OTK, while Snifus, very problematic, very, frustrated, trying to think where is the right moment to activate Abyss Dweller and how he can interact with Kama 3 strategy.
I mean, to be honest, that must be very frustrating, because it's been two times that...
and we see actually the Forbidden Droplet.
The card of the tournament, literally, and once again it is activated in the finals. Like, guys, this guy has everything. Kama 3 is in the zone, literally.
What a hand, honestly. And I mean, having a Mystical Space Typhoon to negate Phil's protection alongside with the Forbidden Droplet to negate the Abyss Dweller. Now it gets very, very complicated for Philip, because essentially he doesn't have anything else to stop his opponent.
And I mean, right now it feels like Kama 3 is just going off and just throwing the exact cards that he wants, but it is something that you expect in a World Final, right? In a World Championship Final, meaning that, yes, obviously it may be some lucky draws, but you have to be lucky also to be able to win an event. And we can see that Kama 3 has the exact solutions into Snifus defenses. And right now we can see Asian Gear Dark Golem finally hitting the field, and I can see that Snifus has started to just losing his mind and just feeling very uncomfortable in the situation that he's right now.
Well, it's going to be very difficult, especially because his starting hand was very powerful, right? I mean, he established such a field, you must be very confident, especially because, as we mentioned, every single time we saw him playing Utopia, not only played it confidently, but he also won with the deck. And I mean, I really have to say that the starting hand was very, very powerful. On the other hand, I really feel like the Kama 3 hands was really built up for basically countering Philip's hand, especially because at the moment, Philip is just a witness of his own destiny for this specific game, especially because we are seeing how powerful the Ancient Gear deck is, right? And I mean, we talked about the deck, we talked about the fourth or fifth deck decisions, if we're really gonna call it this way. But I really feel like into this PL2 category especially, the decks that we're not expecting most of the times have won our duelists a lot of games. And for example, Utopia or Ancient Gear, Sky Striker as well. I mean, they were so unexpected maybe that those decks are really making the difference.
And to be honest, Alexis yesterday was talking about this, right? He was talking about that he wants the flame, he wants the skeptical flair of its duelist in order to have some responses into the current meta state. And he was talking about he wants to see some other decks, some link decks, for example. Like right, Alexis, yeah, I think that it is exactly how you called to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all about surprising the opponent and trying to find the right response against the meta game, because of course there are a lot of people who are probably going to play the same games, and it's all about the 4th or 5th deck. But here, I've got a feeling that Chemistry just brought only some 4th or 5th deck. And here we are going to see the Goddess of the Closed World water card. We've seen it yesterday, and it has done so much work, and we see it again today.
What a turn, honestly, here is going to be for Kama 3, especially because now he was able to put up on the field the Unshared Gear Duel, which may be very important later on onto this duel.
However, right now Sniffus has taken back to the lead, to be honest, and he has double or nothing in the hand, I believe, right?
Yeah.
It has not been discarded, if I recall correctly.
I mean, yeah, and he had such a good hand. Chemistry, he had the Mystical Space Typhoon, he had the Droplet, he had everything in his hand, but all of a sudden we see that Sniffus just survived the turn, so he might actually have a chance, and all of a sudden we see that he's more focused, he's back in the game. Maybe he has a chance to just go toe-to-toe and just go 1-2-1, which would be crucial for him to just stay in the final.
And here's a skill which is incredibly powerful. By shuffling one card especially into your deck, you're able to add up 1 net per pixel second morphing, or it's essentially, depending on what you have in your hand, you can add from the deck, and it essentially gives you such a boost to your hand and field. And here, we may be witnessing what the deck does at its best, and
win games.
Exactly, totally, yes.
Absolutely, because we don't have a lot of answers on the side of Chemistry, and maybe Sniffus is just gonna equalize to 1-1, and he's going to enter battle phase. He's going to just get the game, and yes, he did it! He did it! I mean, I didn't expect that, to be honest, but what a game from Sniffus, and that must be a huge boost of confidence for him, because I think even him, he didn't think that he was going to win the game. I mean, look at all the things that his opponents threw at him. The Mystical Space Typhoon, the Droplet that we talked about, but he still managed to win the game. That must be release for him, and now, I mean, they are 1-1, so this is not the same scenario as yesterday, because yesterday he had to just get back into the game and to win those 3 games in a row, but this time he just equalized, so he knows that he can just play like Chemistry. Maybe he will just bring the trophy to home.
I mean, what a game, to be fair, especially because, I mean, we can never count out our duelists. I think we have seen a lot of duels this weekend, and every single time we thought that one of our duelists was about to win, then it was a comeback. And once again, Philip, on stream, proved himself to be the Utopia player that just wins with the deck. And, I mean, once again, he proves that he can do that.
I mean, his deck, right? He's undefeated still with the Utopia. So as why he's here, why he's in the World Championship final, and obviously we have to highlight that all the body language, how it was changing. I was very thrilled about it, meaning that at the start of the game he was very confident. Then he was feeling very upset about the Mystical Space Typhoon, about the Forbidden Droplet into the Dueler, and everything changed when then Kama 3 special summon the Goddess into the field and just passed there, because she was negated and from Utopia Ray, right? And when that happened, we could see all his energy, all his aura, all his body language changing and going back into the zone. And I cannot be more thrilled about the next game, the game 3, now that the equalizer has been made, but there is one extra asterisk into the final right now. Fusion decks will come brought into the scene, and Kama 3 has been prepared for it. He's here with a strategy to counter them, and he's here to prove us why he believes that some decks like Despia, for example, are not able to perform, in his opinion, right well. But no further ado, let's see Game 3 in action, and let's see how our 2 finalists will go through.
Yeah, absolutely. The two duelists are now tied up 1-1 between Chemistry and Sniffus. And as you just said, we didn't see the fusion deck, and now we are going to see another strategy that I really like. It is the Speedroid strategy. So synchro monsters and still not fusion monsters. And to be frank, yesterday the Speedroid strategy worked really well. Going first because when you establish the field, it is very strong and it is very difficult for your opponent to just go through all the interruptions, but going second as well, because you can just interrupt the opponent. And yesterday we saw some cards like, for example, the Nibiru Primal Being, which was a very, very interesting card in the deck, and all of a sudden, well, you are going second, but you are literally ending the game with this Nibiru. So now, for the moment, he's going to go first, so we are probably going to be able to see how well the Speedroid deck is able to do some strong field, and it's going to be up to Sniffus to just break that.
And I mean, I really like that we're seeing once again this kind of matchup, because we saw how powerful Chimera is. I think the Graveyard's effect are incredible, and you really need to pay attention to that, otherwise you can be really making mistakes and forgetting about them. And on the other side, we saw Kama 3 piloting Speedroids incredibly well, especially because, as you mentioned, Mike, yesterday we saw the Magic Deflector in action, which is insanely good. It's a very good deck. I think it's super consistent. We talked about it throughout our day one, and I really feel like it's a very solid deck to be brought here at the World Championship, especially because not only I think we witnessed the synchro-based deck winning a lot of games, but also because it can afford to play cards such as Non-Fusion Area, for example, which is super powerful against decks that basically rely on the extra deck and fusion summons.
And I mean, it is what Sniffus right now, I think that he is scared of. The three decks that he has left is Chimera, Shaddoll, and obviously Despia. The three fusion decks that Kama 3 is ready to and prepared to beat. And I'm pretty sure right now that Philip knows that he's going to go against those Magic Deflector, those fusion area.
Three set cards right now.
For some defense against fusion motions, I can really tell that one of those three set spell and trap cards might be an answer to fusion mechanics. And obviously Magic Deflector has been activated. Kama 3 is here to win against any fusion deck that will be on his way.
I mean, I think Philip knew right away when Kama 3 set 3 cards, and he was like, there must be one Magic Deflector being there, right? Especially because I really feel like against Chimera, this card, how powerful this card is.
I mean, it is very powerful, of course. I mean, you cannot activate the Chimera Fusion because the Chimera Fusion is only in main phase, so you can literally activate Magic Deflector in draw phase, and then your opponent is just... I mean, he cannot do anything. So it's going to be very hard for Sniffus to just go through this card. And I mean, props to Chemistry to just... Oh, we are talking about that. But Chemistry just came in very prepared. So not only he took some decks that are very surprising, you know, but also he decided to put in some cards very strong against the meta. And the meta call was very, very good from his side. We are going to see if the Magic Deflector is just gonna win it all for him right now.
And to be honest, Speedroid is one of those decks that had come out of the meta through the impact of Nibiru, but now Nibiru that is not very strong against decks like Shaddoll, for example, or Despia, and has come out of the meta, lets the room for Speedroid to retake their place into the meta scene and be again into a world champion final. And we can experience right now how impactful, you know, understanding the meta, countering the meta is for the Speed Duel and generally speaking for Yu-Gi-Oh! Because right now we can see that the deck of country is pure countering meta right now, right? He has brought a deck that doesn't play very well against previous meta cards like Nibiru. He says that, yes, I know that he has come out of the meta right now, and I'm going to play answers to every fusion deck that everyone is going to run, like Magic Deflector, for example.
I mean, yeah, and being the situation of Sniffus, I mean, it is so hard because in the Chimera deck you don't have a lot of answers to this type of situations. I mean, you can still try to go into some link plays, but you don't play a lot of link monsters. You have some XYZ plays as well, but how do you go into your XYZ plays if you don't have the ability to fuse? So this is, I mean, this is very, very hard. So here we are going to special summon the Chimera, the Flying Mystical Beast, which is, yeah, the OG one, but still allow you to try to do something. So Now we're going to normal summon the Sword Knight, and the Sword Knight will be able to bring another monster from the deck, as well as bringing an interruption in the graveyard. And we talked about that. We talked about the ability of Chimera, for example, or Shaddoll to put some different interruptions, especially in the graveyard, and to have some layered ones. So yeah, he's trying to do something. It is going to be hard, but he's fighting hard.
I mean, I think he's really trying his best, especially because we also sent the Nightmare Magician to the graveyard, and we really saw how powerful the card is in the graveyard in action. And also, let's not forget about, as you mentioned, the Sword Knight effect into the graveyard, another form of disruption. And I mean, although the Magic Deflector was activated, it's still here able to go through and just push with the Nightmare Phoenix. So let's see what it really wants to hit by discarding one card and targeting one spell trap card on the field.
And to be honest, later can summon also Nightmare Unicorn in order to shuffle the Synchro deck into the most. But compulsory evacuation device has been activated, targeting probably the Phoenix. However, Code has been activating with the effect in the graveyard, because we have to remember that all the Chimera monsters that have interaction are not only on the field but also on the graveyard. So Code has been activated from the graveyard in order to negate, to banish this card from the field in order to negate the effect of compulsory evacuation device.
And I mean, yeah, the compulsory was very good in that situation because, of course, you had the ability to remove the fusion monster, and since the fusion monster is not there anymore, you cannot activate the effects of the Swordman and the Coddle. So yeah, that was a pretty good trade in my opinion. I mean, if you're a Sniffus, you are more than happy to have this Coddle and to use it on that effect. But yeah, the 3 set cards have been now activated, so I mean, this is at least something. But this is still not a very, very good situation.
I mean, absolutely, especially because we saw another pseudo-compulsory evacuation device being activated and the Crimson Gaia being negated and destroyed. And I mean, I really feel like that Phillips tried his best and did a lot, honestly, to deal with essentially Kama 3's disruptions. And now plays back into Kama 3.
Yeah, Kama 3 is one card in hand and a big monster on the field. Still, he's going to activate his skill, which is pretty good. And I mean, there is something for Sniffus, that if you battle the Sword Knight, you are not able to destroy him.
Yeah,
that's at least something.
There. I mean, it stays there. It's just another layer of protection. And I mean, I really feel like we've mentioned this before.
And to be fair, Crimson Gaia was negated in the previous turn because, yes, Magical Deflector has been activated and it will not have any effect on the field. However, it's a very powerful card to have as a follow-up. Then Crystal Clear Winged Synchro Dragon can negate it, since Kama 3 was respecting the follow-up, respecting the next turns. And we can see now that High Speedroid Cork Shooter has been summoned on the field in defense position. And I'm pretty sure that we are going for more advancing into Synchro Climbing and going for our biggest Synchro monster, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, eventually.
I mean, there's only one set card here from Sniffus side of the field, and I mean, I really feel like the Kama 3 can push a lot. It's just maybe forcing out that one card, and I mean, we said this plenty of time. I really feel like the Synchro-based deck strategy is really working very well into this World Championship, especially because you have so many different options in your extra deck and to negate cards of your opponent. And here also the Crystal Wheel Synchro Dragon hits the field, and the Speedroid card turbo can also being special summoned from the hand. I'm really curious to see here how you also gonna interact with your opponent's disruption from the graveyard, because this is something that sometimes it's really important to remember. But yeah, the more Kama 3 is playing, the more monsters are being brought onto the field, and we mentioned this before, how big their attack monster
and
is.
I think this might be game, actually, if I can recall correct, because I see a lot of attack position monsters, and if Sniffus doesn't have an aces in his sleeve, I think that maybe this may be the end of game 3, to be fair.
I mean, we'll see if he's going to enter battle phase right now. Maybe he has something else. But we are going to see the Chimera Fusion, which will then get chained by the Crystal Clear Winged Dragon. And then we are going to negate the Chimera Fusion, of course. he wanted to try to activate it. I mean,
It was there. I mean, it was there for a reason. It's just trying to activate it. But I think it makes a lot of sense to negate it just because you really want to prevent your opponent for making Chimera fusion monsters to being fusion summon onto the field. And the more you summon, the more resources you have, the more disruption there will be also in the graveyard.
I mean, you have to respect pride, right?
Absolutely.
It is the final of the World Championship. Anyone can make a misplay, so why not just use it? And if it's meant to happen, it will happen. But we can tell against Nifus. I like the fact that he's communicating with us, right? He's just showing all his expression, all his feeling, and I really love the
absolutely.
fact.
And I told you, remember, the Sword Knight, you cannot just destroy it by battle because it has this secret effect, if we can say so, which just says that both monsters are not destroyed by battle when you battle the Sword Knight. So I told you earlier.
Yeah, I mean, it was there for a reason. Just
it is the last wall.
I also think that
but he passed.
Philip was not expecting, honestly, to gain another turn, and I think he was a very unfortunate draw. You could tell from his facial expression that was not really what he was looking for. But still, you gain another turn. Will this be the turn in which Kama 3 can seal this one out?
Yeah, I mean, and this is very interesting. If you have told me that in the World's Final there would be a Sword Knight trying to protect...
Oh, and he passed again!
He doesn't have a solution! He doesn't have a solution right now. He's trying to solve the puzzle, but this Sword Knight still stays on field. But then we see the non-fusion area. We said that Kama 3 was prepared for this format, and look at Sniffus. He's smiling, he's laughing, but I mean, he's not very happy with that, because of course it's completely shuts down his strategy, especially because the Nightmare Phoenix is already used and is in the graveyard.
And I mean, Mirror Sword Knight right now has popping off, and so was one of the biggest flexes that he can, meaning that he just sits down in face-up defense position and doesn't let so strong synchro monster just going for game. However, non-fusion area is one of those cards that you need to get rid of, otherwise you cannot advance your own game state, and we are in a very awkward game state right now, meaning that Kama 3 has 3 very big monsters that can knock out Sword Knight, one of the main monsters of the Chimera strategy. However, Chimera cannot advance the game state and some of their fusion monsters from the extra deck.
I mean, of course, the non-fusion area hurts a lot. There's nothing that Philip could have done, but still, there's this Sword Knight reigning, I would say, onto the field, and unless Kama 3 finds a solution, this is gonna be a pass once again.
I mean, this is absolutely insane. We are watching right now a Sword Knight alone on the field trying to protect the Sniffus, and Sniffus cannot do a lot, to be honest, because of the non-fusion area. I wonder if he has something in his deck to be able to deal with that, but to be honest, I seriously doubt it.
No, to be fair, I think that Sniffus right now is just thinking that how to deal with non-fusion, as you said, but Kama 3 has a solution in his deck. He saw what's before. It is in the graveyard. It is the compulsory evacuation device, and we are just waiting for Kama 3 to find it, to have it drawn, and to be set into the field to pass there, and then activate it into Sword Knight in order to return it to the hand and attack with those big monsters that have been summoned into his side of the field.
I mean, you can really tell that Philip here is trying. He's really trying, although it's gonna be very difficult because 3 synchro monsters onto the field, non-fusion area, which completely shuts down your strategy. The issue is compulsory evacuation device is a card, and depending on how many copies Kama 3 is running, if there's another copy into his deck, of course, Philip knows that he's gonna be in trouble. It's gonna be very difficult for him, especially because, I mean, we've talked about how powerful the Chimera deck is, but without having access to the extra deck and fusion summons, that is gonna be very difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he couldn't deal with the Swordman, then there is another one, another illusion monster, which is Nightmare Apprentice. So we are building a wall on the side of Philip, and this is absolutely incredible to watch. We are going to set a card on the side of Chemistry, so maybe this is a compulsory, but the problem is that compulsory can only remove one monster. So yeah, we're trying to battle on this, and Sniffus is literally smiling on this one. But yeah, he's going to have to try to find a solution.
And to be honest, Kama 3 has a solution into his extra deck in order to out this scenario, it is the high Speedroid Kite Drake. However, he cannot find a way to synchro summon into it in order to summon it into the field and negate all the effects of the defense. And another Nightmare Apprentice. What is happening? This is the final of the whole championship for a reason.
What is going on? I mean, I think we have never witnessed such a game, honestly, in the Speed Duel history, I would say. Because if we were wondering if there was another compulsory evacuation device, I can tell you that for sure there are not 3 copies. Because one is already gone.
I mean, what a game, of course, and they are giving their best in this final. We are in a game state which is very hard for both players, but, I mean, remember, if none of them is able to do that...
the compulsory evacuation device, one of the outs for the Sword Knight.
But a bit too late. Yeah, just a little bit too late. And yeah, I mean, if none of them is able to find a solution, then it's gonna rely on the cards in deck. So, I mean, what a game! I'm speechless, to be honest.
And to be fair, right now, there are 3 monsters that cannot be destroyed by battle in Snifus' side of the field. However, we need to find a way to access our synchro monsters. We need to find a way to access High Speedroid Kite Drake in order for us to negate all the effects of all face-up cards in our opponent's currently controls and their side of the field.
Yeah, I mean, the very other good effects is it essentially destroys all other cards onto the field, and I mean, it can close the game out just by summoning it. The issue, of course, is bringing it up on the field.
Oh, and we will have a Fiendish Golem. What a great card. He's going to be able to banish the monster until the end phase of the next turn, and that's pretty cool. And another card is going to be set.
You can tell that Kama 3 was not expecting that, because if the high speed draw clear winger rider hit the field and was successfully activating his effect, well, we would have seen, honestly, a very good interruptions, honestly, but that isn't going to be the case yet.
And what a game, to be honest. I mean, those 2 duelists in the World's Final, the biggest stage of the year, and they are tied 1-1. They really want to get their 2nd point of these finals. And, I mean, whoever is going to win the game right now, it's going to be absolutely insane for him, because he's going to build the momentum for sure, and he's going to have a lot of confidence.
And, I mean, High Speedroid Clear Wing Rider is currently coming to the field again in a moment, and we are ready to roll some dice in order to destroy some cards on the field. And I'm pretty excited to see how we can start rolling the dice and destroying those apprentices, those Sword Knight.
I mean, you can really tell that Philip is trying, but I really feel like there's nothing else that he can do. I mean, he has a strategy, but of course with the non-fusion aura being active on the field, as you mentioned, Mike, the Krill Wing Rider will soon hit the field, and most likely, of course, depending on the result of the die, we will be seeing some distractions onto his opponent's side of the field, and he could slowly get rid of these very annoying monsters.
Yeah, and that's not very good, of course, for on the side of Snifus, because, I mean, his protection is probably gonna go away, and it doesn't have a lot more to just protect itself. But, yeah, I mean, this game is absolutely amazing. It's been like, what, 10 minutes, something like that, and both of the players trying to figure out how to just get through these things suggested by the opponent. So,
and now High Speedroid, the Clear Wing Rider, has been on the field again, and we roll a dice, and it is a 5!
It is a 5.
And now we were able to return to the deck wind monsters from the graveyard in order to destroy 5 cards in the field, and we probably will destroy the Sword Knight and the Sword Knight, and now we turning our monsters into attack, and we attack for game
Finally.
with the Hybrid Clear Wing Rider.
What a game!
Look at chemistry, look at chemistry's face. For the first time, I think, in the tournament, he's totally relieved of after this game. Look at that! It was such a battle. He didn't know how to go through all the cards, all the illusion monsters, and I I mean, I couldn't think about that. The Sword Knight in defense position and Sniff is just Philip trying to just find a solution, and you have all those cards on the side of Chemistry, like the non-fusion area, all these magic deflector. I mean, wow.
I mean, I think he still cannot believe it. I mean, we saw his reaction, and I mean, what a duel there was. I think we never witnessed such a thing on stream, and he slowly kept his composure. He understood that he really needed to get access to the extra deck because the compulsory evacuation device was another thing. And in the end, it's 2-1 for him.
And I mean, it kind of showcases how the playstyle of each player is, right? So Sniffus is a more defensive player trying to control the game state, while Chemistry wants to destroy, wants to go there and just make his appearance on the field and look why he's one of the greatest, if not. But tell me, Albi, would you consider that 3 monsters in defensive position that were not able to be destroyed by battle would make such an impact on the game state?
Well, I mean, it's a very good question, Mike, but let's just bring up on the screen for you guys something else, and we will be back on this because we have something for you to redeem into the game. Please use the WCS 2025 DL code to redeem 2 special packs and Chronicle card stamp. I mean, I really feel like that during these events, this is also what you really want to receive, some special packs and some WCS exclusives. And I mean, talking back about our game, honestly, it was so much sought after. It was such a battle. Both of our duelists really didn't want to defeat. Honestly, it's just insane because also we are reviving what we saw yesterday in their match.
Absolutely,
like, they really don't want to give their opponent advantage, and with emotions, honestly, here we're just over the roof, to be fair.
I mean, yeah, to be honest, we are just witnessing the same thing as yesterday. 2 duelists that just want to win it all. Yesterday, they were already qualified, so they didn't have to win, and still they wanted to win the game to just make a statement and to be able to show that they were the best duelist of the tournament. And once again, they are showing such a fight between those 2 duelists, and I think that even if Sniffus is just 1-2 right now, he showed us that he's able to just beat his opponent and become the world champion, because it all revolves around that. They just want to become the world champion. It might be in this game with Chemistry being up 2-1 and this being a best of 5, but we are going to see that very shortly because the game number 4 is starting right now. And yeah, so we are actually going into the game 4, and we are seeing some Utopia once again, but this time on the side of Chemistry. So we know that Philip does know the deck very, very well. He's kind of the king of Utopia. Will he be able to just beat this deck once again? But this time he is on a fusion deck, and we know that this might be very scary for him because we know that Chemistry is very prepared for this fusion deck. But on the other hand, Despia, one of the best decks of the format.
Yeah, I mean, what a deck. We discussed it yesterday, and how powerful Masquerade the Blazing Dragon is. I mean, pay 600 life points. It's a very, very scary. And here it is the field, it is the first card that is being summoned, and honestly, it's no surprise. I mean, yesterday we saw that with just a few hundred life points remaining, a lot of our duelists won their game. And it's just a matter of understanding how many cards you can afford to play before you basically get rid of the Masquerade. Branded is a very solid choice, and I'm really curious to see how Philip is going to approach this matchup against Utopia, against his deck.
Yeah, I mean right now we have again a fusion deck from the field of Sniffus, because we said that he only has into his arsenal fusion decks, right? He only has left with Despia and Ledger as a last solution, Shaddoll, if he's able to win right now. However, we saw that Chemistry has come prepared, and we see set 3 cards from Sniffus and passing the turn with a Masquerade Dragon. That gives the opponent the opportunity to only activate 6 cards, since in the 7th and
again
Mystical
once
Space
again.
Typhoon has been activated.
And I mean, activating right now the Mystical Space Typhoon, so he knows that he's going to take 600 life points. It must mean that he has something planned for the Masquerade to just get rid of this card really easily. Otherwise, he wouldn't have activated the Mystical Space Typhoon right now. And we saw that yesterday some players had some solutions. For example, the Goddess that was used also today to just get rid of it. And I mean, as long as you just have some life points, you can still win the game. So it's all about getting rid of it and planning every single action that you do to just get rid of it before you end the game.
And I mean, right now,
Look at this kill.
Gamma3 just going off and off and off. And I really love the fact that Snipers didn't activate Brian Red, because if he has done, he gave away so many resources from his graveyard to the field that are not required at that moment. He just want to pass with Masquerade and an amazing Dark Lord Link that leave the opponent with the ability to only activate, as we said, 6 cards from his hand, since another card, the 7th card, will burn him for life.
But there is something really scary right now. It's of course the Dark Lord card is very, very good, but the problem is that it's in attack position, and against Utopia it is not very, very good. And as you just said, we have the Book of Eclipse, one of the best cards in the tournament. We talked about the Book of Eclipse, also about the Droplet, and yeah, the weakness of Utopia is that you don't have some Link monsters, you have some XYZ monsters, so they can get face down, and in that situation you have to just start all over again and try to find a solution. On the other hand, I mean, the Masquerade is now face down.
Yeah, I mean, the Book of Eclipse is of course very powerful. I really feel like that Phillips was forced to activate it, because otherwise there would have been no spot for him.
Yeah,
I really wonder what the last set card may be, because like this is kind of exposing himself, because we know how dangerous the Utopia deck is when you have a monster on attack position. If he doesn't have any other interruption, and if Gamma3 can play, that would be very scary, but it doesn't seem the case.
And I mean, setting a monster into
the end phase, yes.
Yeah. And setting a monster is obviously bad for Utopia, and activating Brian in red can mean so much for the Despia strategy. Dramaturg has been go into the banish zone, and now will probably fusion summon into Quartetis, I believe.
It is going to be the first Dark Lord, a very, very
amazing
strong card. Yeah, absolutely. 4,000 attack points, so this is very, very strong. And to be honest, it looks pretty good for Philip right now. So, I mean, this is very good for him. This is looking promising. He's just gonna flip again the Masquerade, and I think he's going to give the final blow. He's gonna activate another card. This is the Allure of Darkness, such a card. So he's going to add 2 cards and to be able to banish the Tragedy and activate the effect of Tragedy. He's laughing because he's going to be able to add the Allure from the deck to the hand. Now he's normal summoning the Allure, but there is no doubt that he's going to get this game and get the victory. Now he will just set a card and get the victory in this wow, in this 4th game. So guys, we are going to game 5 in the finals of the World Championship. We said that those 2 guys, they were, I mean, such a battle between those two guys. They are the final bosses, you know.
Look at him.
Now we are at the game 5.
And look at him smiling, because he knows that he just managed again to be the only player that has a game 5 against Gamma3. And now it is his chance to prove that he is the reason that he's here. There is a reason that, yes, we are going to, for a second time, to a game 5. It is the second time in the same tournament, in a World Championship tournament, that we're going for a game 5. And yes, that time I may be able to take finally the win and finally be the world champion.
And once again, a win against Utopia.
Yeah.
I mean, he told me when I interviewed him, he was super confident about the deck. He knows it in and out, and that Book of Eclipse, I mean, really proved that he knew there was the right moment to activate it, because otherwise he could have not come back into the game. And once again, he has a chance to redeem himself. And I mean, his only defeat into the tournament was to Gamma3, and now once again, game 5 to declare what will be the new Speed Duel World Champions. And honestly, if we saw all of their decks, there's only one deck missing, because as you really like, there is gonna be a mirror match.
And I mean, what's a best way to end this tournament? I really love Game 5. I really love mirror match, to be honest. And what's the best option to end the whole championship tournament with a Shaddoll mirror match for our final game of the World Championship? We are going to experience an amazing mirror, and we hope that we can see all the skill expression, all those tech cards, all those skills, all those mechanics going into the game. We're going to see a lot of back effort, I'm pretty sure, because Shaddoll Mirrors is one of those decks that you really want to grind, because the skill of each player will be shown, and we can understand who is going to be our new world champion of Speed Duel.
Absolutely, and it's gonna be absolutely amazing because Shaddoll Mirror, you know, you have some skill expression and you have so much pressure on your shoulders because this is the last game. There's gonna be a new world champion after this one. And guys, the players are ready. We are going to jump into the game 5 for this Shaddoll Mirror. Who will be crowned? Who will be the world champion? Chemistry or Sniffus? It all revolves around that game.
And I mean, what's the best way to start from Sniffus than winning the Tonicos actually and going with El Shaddoll Fusion, starting very, very strong, but we need to see those fusion materials. Is there going to be a light in order to summon the El Shaddoll Construct? We have the Squamata, and we are going to summon the El Shaddoll Construct. Has been summoned onto the field, and now we can also go to extend a lot, and I want to see if Sniffus is going for a very old strategy from the Shaddolls to actually being able to take Shaddoll Seism into his hand, but leave his field without a fusion monster by tributing the Shaddoll Construct and just summoning the Shaddoll Beast.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is that's been from the beginning. I remember also in the TCG, was really the strategy that you really wanted to go for. You summon the construct, you get your engine going, and then as soon as possible you get rid of the construct so that your opponent cannot use the Shaddoll Fusion, summoning essentially from the extra deck using cards from your deck. What do you think, honestly, of the mirror match? Because we saw Shaddoll in action, but the mirror match is completely different.
And I mean, I'm very thrilled. I cannot explain how thrilled I am, because this is showcasing our formats right now. This is showcasing what are the best decks right now. This is showcasing the best players in the world right now, and this is the mirror that I wanted to see with the most skill expression into the game. I mean, I cannot imagine another mirror being so strong, and I cannot imagine how after 2 days we can end this tournament with a beautiful Shaddoll mirror, which requires a lot of skill and requires both players to play extremely well and showcasing their skill and their mechanics.
Yeah, and to be honest, this is very interesting because throughout all the tournament, Chemistry has just been beating some people, some players with some off-meta decks, and now, I mean, if he wants to just be the world champion, he's going to have to play the best deck in front of Sniffus. So yeah, this is something which is really interesting. But for now, we've seen something really, really good for Sniffus, the ability to just banish some cards from the opponent's graveyard thanks to Ariel, which is a very strong card. We've talked about that yesterday, the ability to just disrupt the opponent's graveyard and all the strategy of the Shaddoll players, but also the Granite players. We've seen some Didicro, for example, which have been very, very useful in those situations. And yeah, Ariel is just in archetype built-in interruptions for that. And as you just said just before, I mean, we are just ending the turn without any monster. Of course, we don't want the Shaddoll Fusion to resolve fully and to be able to just send anything from the deck to the graveyard, and I think that this is very well played. Philip is well prepared and he knows what to do to just be able to win those mirrors.
Very correct play from him. He's just summon the Unicorn to shuffle it back and essentially get the Shaddoll core thanks to the Shaddoll Contrast effect, and with 3 set cards, honestly, I think it's ready to go.
And I mean, we can tell that one of them is Shaddoll Core, as we see that was added to the hand, and probably Shaddoll Seism I can call, because we can also see though an El Shaddoll Contract from Gamma 3 side of the field to be summoned, and right now things are starting to get heat, because when Contract hits the field, the Shaddoll deck starts to generate so much advantage. So now summoning Shaddoll Beast that will able to reset himself probably in order for us to draw 2 cards and discard 1 later. Now we have the Hedgehog in order to add 1 Shaddoll spell and trap card, and I'm pretty sure which will be the Squamata.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I like about this matchup is that basically this deck is very, very good at grind games. So you have some very control-ish style game, and you have some grindy games. So, I mean, every single mistake could literally
the
lead to
of
victory.
Shaddoll Beast!
Last card in hand.
So there is an interruption, so he's not going to be able to just declare the effect of the Shaddoll Beast, which is pretty cool. We take those, right?
And I mean, Snifus was waiting for the right moment since he let constructs to resolve and in order to activate Veiled into the Shaddoll Beast. And right now I think that things for Gamma 3, I'm starting to looking very, very skeptical because he's going probably to summon the one and only Shaddoll construct, the linked monster, one of the best additions to the Shaddoll strategy. And right now things are starting to go all the time back and forth, and this is the exact reason why I wanted to see this mirror. And now Shaddoll Seism will be activated, and of course we have a light into the graveyard from the effect Veiled and from an Nibiru that was discarded previously to the graveyard.
Yeah, we know every single card that Snifus has essentially has the Shaddoll Core and the Shaddoll Fusion onto the field, and it's a matter of understanding where and when to activate your disruptions, especially because your opponent has 3 cards in hand. And we know how difficult the mirror matches are, but I mean, I really feel like at the end of the day, the player who has more resources then is gonna make it.
Yeah, absolutely, and we saw that Schism was a very, very good card throughout the whole tournament, as well as the Forbidden Droplet. What a card! I mean, every single time it's been activated, it's been absolutely decisive, and once again, we see it being very good. Going first, going second, I mean, this card does everything, and I think that you should run 3 copies of that if you can.
And I mean, right now, we can see that Shaddoll Core will summon itself to the field as an effect monster. And I want to see what our plan is right now, where we and El Shaddoll Fusion will be activated in order to summon another Shaddoll Fusion from the extra deck. And probably, are we going for the Apkalon? Are we going for the Winter? It will be the Apkalon summoned into the field. So we will be able to target one face-up card on the field and get its effect permanently, which is very, very important. And obviously, we have some trigger effects in the graveyard.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was very well played by Philip here. Essentially gets back the Shaddoll Fusion and Shaddoll Core, and also with the Apkalon is able to negate Shaddoll Concert onto the field. Very well played here by Philip.
Absolutely, absolutely, and you can see Philip. He's just very, very focused on the game. We are going to see the El Shaddoll Fusion activated by Gamma 3, but don't get wrong. I mean, Philip is in the driver's seat right now. He's going to be able to try to deal with the opponent's field and to try to take a decisive advantage.
So, just to let the things clear, Gamma 3 has activated El Shaddoll Fusion in the draw phase, meaning that El Shaddoll Seism cannot be activated since it is only in the main phase, and since Shaddoll Dragon has been used as a fusion material and sent to the graveyard, can activate the effect to destroy one spell trap card. And now everything is on Snifus' side of the field. Everything is on his hand. The World Championship trophy is so close. He needs to just have the correct answers, and Shaddoll Contract will be summoned from the graveyard, triggering the Shaddoll Core.
Also remind that there's a Nightmare Unicorn in the extra deck that was brought back once again, and I think it can be very relevant just to shuffle back one of his opponent's monster.
Unicorn.
Exactly, and I mean here, let's just see what Phillips decides to go for.
I mean, it's probably going to be the Unicorn,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, it is the Nightmare Unicorn. It's a very good card into the Shaddoll deck because not only it doesn't put it back to the graveyard, but it puts back into the deck. So this is very, very good as it doesn't trigger its effect.
I mean, beautiful move from him. I mean, we said at the beginning that you really had to shuffle back one of your monster, not to bring up onto the field a monster, and here also gets the Shaddoll Fusion from the deck. And here it is.
How? And now the Shaddoll Fusion will resolve with full effects, which means that he is going to be able to send the monsters from the deck to the graveyard. This is one of the best cards, if not the best card of the game. And yeah, I mean, you are in a very good situation being Philip right now.
And we were talking about that you don't want to leave
the
monster from the extra deck into the field, since there are cards like Shaddoll Fusion that can send materials from the deck. Nile Shaddoll Ariel will be activated, Nile Shaddoll Genius will be activated, and right now Camry is not looking very good. Snifus is one move away. Now he will enter battle phase. Sakinaga will attack. Genius has been activated to negate the Shaddoll construct, meaning that she has not effect in order to activate the effect to destroy during the damage step. And now everything is on a top deck. Sakinaga doesn't have monster effects in the hand in order to negate, but right now Snifus takes back the turn, and he's just minutes away from crowning the whole champion.
I think this is it, guys. I think that Philip just may have made it. Only one monster on the side of chemistry. Remember, it is face down, and we are in a Shaddoll mirror, so we have to be careful. But no doubt that Philip will just do everything that he can to just get rid of the monster without activating the effect. And yeah, we are probably one turn away from crowning the world champion. We are going to fuse again into the Anoiatilis, and I mean, that's going to be very difficult for chemistry to just get the victory there. I mean, Philip, remember, he was down 1-2, and he might be able to just get the title.
I mean, we said this countless time, our duelists never give up. I mean, they're always here until it's not over until it's over, right? And I mean, this mirror match had it all. We could have not asked for more, honestly, for our last game of the Speed Duel World Championship. And here it just needs to understand what his next move may be. There's only one face-down monster from him and the title.
And he's going to special summon back the Shaddoll Construct and activate the effect of Shaddoll Construct. I mean, this is going very well for him right now. I don't see any monsters that could really do something there for chemistry. Look at Snifus, look at Philip. He knows that he's just an inch away from him. He wants to get the victory, and he's going to fuse once again.
And to be fair, right now, there are more cards coming on, and don't forget that El Shaddoll Fusion can be activated during the battle phase. Right now, Snifus can enter battle phase and be crowned the world champion. He needs to make sure that this set card is not a Shaddoll Dragon that may be able to interact with him, but summoning Shaddoll monster again and again. We said that that's not the dragon, but I think that doesn't make any sense. It will be game, and we have our new world champion!
Philip is the new world champion for Speed Duel. He entered the final and he wanted to really get the victory. Look at him right now. He's so happy, and we can understand why. What a battle between those two players. Chemistry and Snifus were by far the best players in this tournament. Snifus going into Game 5 once again, but this time he took the victory, he took his revenge, and he's going to get back home with a beautiful title of World Champion.
I mean, look what it means. I mean, we were talking about redemption. I mean, it was the only defeat of his entire tournament, and here once again in Game 5, he defeated Kamatri in an unbelievable thriller, I would say. Congratulations, we have a new Speed Duel World Champion, Philip Thomas, Snifus. Congratulations, what a tournament that it's been.